Hey, this is Peggy with Easy Peasy Machine Embroidery Software, and we are using the newest version of MySewNet Platinum. And today we are going to digitize some shamrocks using Silhouette Garden and Google Images. So, let's begin. So, there are two ways to go about this. We can start out with a blank canvas, or we can go directly into the digitizing module. I'm going to start with a blank canvas, and my mug rug is probably going to be about 200 by 200, and I am in the Create tab right next to Home, and I'm going to go into the digitizing. And what I'm going to do here is I have a picture that I've taken off of Google Images, but I'm going to stop here and show you how I did that. So I am going to go into Google, and I'm going to go up to the images right up here, and I'm going to type in SHAMROCK, and I want it to be a shamrock silhouette. So I don't think anybody can actually copyright the silhouette of a shamrock, but here we go. We're going to go into the Tools menu, and I'm going to say I would like clip art or line drawings. I'm going to do line drawings, and I'm going to click on usage rights and say Creative Commons. And then I'm just going to take this picture of a shamrock, and I'm going to do a right click, Save As, and there it is. The other place that I really love is Silhouette Garden, SIL. And this is Silhouette Garden. You just type in Silhouette Garden on a search and you'll find it, or silhouettegarden.com, and they have all kinds of categories. And you can go into animal silhouettes and get all kinds of animals. And there's just a zillion things, and I make all kinds of neat designs from these. So, let's go back into the software. So here we are in the software again, and I'm back into the digitizing. And I'm going to say load or create a background picture. I'm going to say load the picture. There it is. I'm going to crop it. And I'm going to hit next. And I would normally use a 200 by 200 hoop for the finished product, but I'm not so sure that I would want my clover that big. So, or shamrock that big. So I'm going to do a change hoop, and I'm going to say 100 by 100. Because I'm going to do something else with this clover later. So, finish. And I'm going to maximize my screen. And I'm going to go into Quick Create, which is right here. And I am going to turn off my pattern fill by clicking at the top. I am going to change my satin fill to a running stitch. And I'm going to try quick stitch just to see if it's going to do what I want it to do, and it does. So basically it just made an outline of the shamrock. Easy peasy. And if I go to the Home tab and then over into Life View, that's what my shamrock looks like. And goodness, I don't like the lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit cancel there. I'm going to go back out and delete that. And I'm going to go into what is called Point Create. And I'm going to do a create line or area. I'm probably going to use this as an applique later, but I don't want it to put a satin stitch on anything right now. Let's see. I'm going to start here. I can turn applique off later if I want to. When you get to a corner, if you hold down the Shift key, it makes a nice clean angle for you. And you just keep following the curves around. Almost done. And there we go. And I can still move these dots around. And you can still change the angles if you need to. I see one up here that really needs to be changed. You can even add and delete dots if you need to. To add and delete them, you would go to the Home tab and you would go Insert Points or Delete Points, but after you do that, make sure you go back to Edit Points, because it'll keep doing whatever you've been doing. If you're deleting points, it'll keep deleting them until you go back to that Edit Points. So here's where your Edit Undo up here is a really nice tool. So that is done. I am going to right click over it. You can see that it's put an applique down, and the stitch that is there is actually a running stitch. I'm going to right click and then right click one more time. For some reason I don't like using appliques when I'm doing this, so I'm going to take the applique off. And I'm going to go back into Life View. Remember, we're in the Home tab to do that. And my lines look a whole lot better. So, from there, once you get that basic shamrock shape, you can do a copy. And it's down here in your clipboard, down here in the lower right-hand side. And from there, you can do all kinds of things with this. I am going to say Insert Color Change. And I'm going to say green there. So the first stitch is a running stitch, and it's actually a placement stitch. And I would do Control V again, which is a copy paste. You could have also just gone up here to paste. So the second stitch, Shamrock, is actually going to be holding your fabric down. And then I'm going to add, do a right click, Insert Color Change. And I'm going to do any old color, but different from the ones I have used in the past. So, and I'm going to do a paste again. So this one, I don't want it to be just a running stitch. I'm going to go into the properties by right clicking on it, and I'm going to say I would like a fill, and let's do a contour fill for a minute. And we don't need a running stitch or anything at this point because it's already been stitched down. If I move my screen a little bit, you can see that that is a contour fill. You have all kinds of choices there. Just get in there and play. And remember that when you are doing these, you have densities that you can mess with. You have different shapes you can mess with. The only way that you're gonna, learn these designs and make really awesome designs is to use these like motifs and whatnot. So I'm going to hit cancel there because I really like that fill pattern. And so there's that. And I am going to save it as an EDO. And I'm going to save it to my desktop. And I'm going to make a new folder called Clay. So there's my edit from embroidery. Now I can go back and make umpteen things of these, and using that same Shamrock and just right clicking and saying, oh, I want something else, I want a different design. And each time I change that design, I just do a save, I just do an export, and I say desktop, and there's my clay folder. So there's my edit Shamrock. So this is an edit. Actually, it's not the edit, it's the VP3. So I'm not even going to put an edit there. So we're going to say export. And then I am going to close out of this. And when you close out, if you haven't opened it 19 times like I sometimes do, there is your Shamrock. You can change colors and things like that still at this point. But what I am going to do is I'm going to do a home, and I'm going to do a cut. And then I'm going to go into the Create tab. I'm going to go into the Quilt Block Wizard and Inner Embroidery. And I am going to say 150 on my, let's do 170. See if that works. On my hoop size, I know I'm going to use a 200 by 200 hoop, but I want it to be smaller, the design to be smaller than the hoop. So I say next, and your margins you can change to be greater or smaller. And that's the margin around your embroidery. I'm going to leave it as is. And oh my goodness, you have all kinds of stuff to play with here. Anytime you see options, you go in and play with them. And if you don't like it, you just click on another thing. And I am going to click on Echo. And I'm going to go with options. And I'm going to say I want a gap of 7.5. We're going to see what that does. Okay, these corners are a little funky, so we're going to go back in, and we're going to say, let's do a gap of 7, and see if that looks any better. Nope. Options, let's do a gap of 9. Why isn't that working? Alright, let's try something else. Let's try the Echo fill. Okay, that looks good. Maybe we just didn't like the contour fill. And the corners look okay, pretty much. I can go in here and change that just a little bit and keep applying it, and you get the idea. You play and you play and you play. So we're going to finish it. There's a quilt block, and it's a good thing that I did do the smaller quilt block because it fits. So I am going to, I don't know what this was, so you know what, and maybe I better do a copy here, just in case. And And the first time I used this, things stitched out 2 or 3 times because I had it in here 2 or 3 times. So I'm going to delete that. So all I have is just the quilt block. And we're going to do a file. We're going to do an export. We're going to say VP3. The reason I do different colors when I'm making these designs is if you accidentally hit color sort, it messes your whole design up. So here is my clay folder, and we're going to say Shamrock quilt. And I can get rid of that. I think it's saved in either case. So we are going to go to Create. We're going to go to Digitize. And I have one more thing I'm going to do to this design. So I'm going to hit Cancel here. I am going to go to Insert Embroidery. And I'm going to go browse out to my folder and go to Shamrock Quilt. Okay, and see how it's just short of the actual outer line of this 200 by 200 design hoop. So now we're going to go into Quick Create, and I am going to turn off the pattern fill. I am going to do a running stitch, and I am also going to go to Point Create. So I've got my running stitch, create line or area, and I'm just going to, outside of this line here, I'm going to move it in just a little bit. And right click, and there it is. And then I'm going to go back up here and try to figure out where I was. About here. Whoops. I'm going to slide this one down here. There is a method to my madness. So when I write a class, what I would be doing is, we're going to assume that when this gets sewn out, that this part is going to be quilted with a piece of batting. And then after this center quilt part is stitched out, then we're going to ask the customers to remove their hoop and turn it over and tape a piece of 2 pieces of fabric onto the back. And those 2 pieces are going to be, just a little bit bigger. So if this was 8 by 8 hoop, you probably want maybe like a 11-inch piece of fabric. You fold it in half, cut it, so you got 2 pieces. You're going to fold over the edge, and you can fold it over twice. You probably have enough room to enough yardage to do that. And you can stitch that down, or you can leave it. Depends on, whatever you want. Okay, these 2 lines, so you're going to lay each of those quilted pieces, you're going to lay each of those 2 pieces of fabric that have been ironed down here that are overlapping, and the right side is going to be on the inside. Okay, and you're going to tape those down, and you're going to stitch out these 2 lines, and then that's going to hold. You're going to be very careful going over the folds, but that will hold your fold down for you, and it won't catch in your sensor Q foot. And then the last thing I do, and I am going to add a color here, color change, because I like to be able to do a stop there. And I'm going to do one more color change. And I'm going to make this one yellow. Doesn't look like yellow on my screen, but anyway. Lastly, I'm going to go into Quick Create. I'm going to get the square. I'm going to click on the shape. And I'm going to go down here to get rid of that one. And I'm going to click on that shape again. And I'm going to take it right up to the corner. And those lines should be just either right on that, those stitch down lines for the fold. And now I'm going to go to Home, Modify Block, and I'm going to do a Scale to Fit hoop. And we are now going to do an export. And we're going to say SHAMROCK, mug rug. So we're going to do a Shamrock mug rug. And we're going to export it there. And then basically we're going to turn the design right side out. And you have a mug rug. Okay, thanks for watching.